All right. Welcome back to a brand new video of the Target Individual Program, Target Individual Experience. So, as you guys have heard, you know how they try to screw you over. Oh, which way? Okay. Got a little bit confused there. How they try to screw you over, right? And so now I gotta call my new insurance company and see which of my medication that they actually will, which is covered, right? Just in case, because they can tell me anything. They can tell me, oh well, your insurance company don't, like this prescription is not covered, and it could be a lie, because it's their way of always trying to take money out of your pocket, even though you're on disability, right? But that's coercive persuasion program, right? It's to do what? It's to degrade your finance, right? So even when you're on disability, they will still engage in things to in what we would call financial sabotage. That's what I would call financial sabotage, right? And like I said, ain't no fear here, no fear, none whatsoever. Because ultimately, like I said, they're afraid of the truth. You see, when they engage in lie, deception, and manipulation, the only thing that they are, well, I shouldn't say the only thing, but the greatest thing that they are afraid of is the truth. Right? They're afraid of the truth coming out. So when we talk about non-consensual human experimentation and how they get away with it, right? This plan that they formulated in their sick mind in order to get away with non-consensual human experimentation, right? You must understand what it is that they do. See, I care about my people and my children and family enough to study what it is that they've done to me, my brothers and others, and expose them. So the constant threat don't bother me. Like I said, you will never put me back into that fight or flight phenomenon, particularly the flight part of it. I will always be in the fight part of it. I don't want to wait for the bus. I want to walk, because I want to share my thoughts on certain things, and I gotta take my book back off my back. So use my shoulders. Right, so I'll talk about the movie, the series I was binge watching over the weekend, right, called Orphan Black. And it talks about, this is about these clones, right? And this is true, because they've been cloning people since the 1920s, 1920s? Look, all three of them blocking the sidewalk. Like, as soon as I approach, they start walking. Right? Look at their movement. When I talk about cults, movements, and being trained, right? And you see who are involved in cults, and particularly cult leaders, particularly big cult leaders, particularly, within the Christian churches and other religious organizations that have a substantial amount of followers. You'll find a lot of people from the military, from law enforcement, predator law enforcement, from the intelligence agency, and so forth. LUH 1325. All right, expose them in every single way, man. All right, and as I said, 5, they use their sirens, right, in the background. But anyhow, so in Orphan Black, one of the clones, right, saw a person that looked like her, a woman that looked like her, who walked in front of a train, jumped off the train platform. And so she took her identity and so forth, because the woman just looked like her. But it turned out that clone was a police officer.
So he's sitting.
And so she kind of like stepped into her shoes and such and such. But then, you gotta watch the series. Okay. But I'm gonna tell you, but the premise is about cloning. Not only about cloning, but it's about genetic enhancement, genetic manipulation of people's genes, right? Particularly since millions of people took the jab, and if you look at doctors who've been speaking out against it. And if you look at the amount of people that have died since taking the jab, which they don't talk about, see how they buried it, right? See how they don't talk about it, right? But if you go and you research the amount of people that have died from taking the jab, it's a significant number of people, right? Now, if it was any other sort of death-related incidents, it would be big news. But the reason why it's not big news is because the reason why it's not big news because of big tech and the corruption within the U.S. government, the corruption within pharmaceuticals. See how they just walk in front of me coming out of the church? Again, religious fanatics, right? And I want you to understand how the churches are engaging in psychological manipulation, because again, we talk about how the government have infiltrated the church, religious institutions, because religious institutions are some of the most corrupt organization on the planet. And I'm not saying that just to say it. You go by, again, I always judge them on their actions. You know what I'm talking about? You know, don't listen to what they say, right? Don't only listen to what they say, but also watch what they do. And they will give you a good indication of whether or not they're actually practicing what they preach. See, they don't want, just like how democracy is not, true democracy is not welcome in the Western world, right? Because the people that are said to us are giving us so-called democracy are not democratic. But they got to give us the illusion of being democratic. They got to give us the illusion of free choice while they're manipulators. And I keep saying, if you want to understand how anybody can be manipulated, right, you need to watch shows about mentalists. And you need to learn about hypnosis and learn about neurolinguistic programming, particularly, you know, on YouTube where you have a plethora of information. Go look at seminars in the 1990s that are about NLP, right? What they call grabbing the scratch. Yeah, fuck you too. Grabbing my crotch too. Keep telling y'all, everything they slick. That shit not gonna work either. That shit's not gonna work either. But anyway, as I was saying, go and look at the majority of people who attended these NLP seminars. But first you need to go look up the definition of NLP. And then go look up the definition of dark NLP, or dark psychology, for you to get a basic understanding before you watch those videos. And I want you to look at the people who are attending those seminars. All right? That's one of your wake-up call. If you are a Negropean, right, male or female. Second, go watch shows like, you know, you have these shows, America's Got Talent and so forth, and also you look at these, go look at Darren Brown. Darren Brown, who is a mentalist, and understand how people can manipulate you in ways that you don't even see. Because part of cognitive warfare, right, a part of hypnosis, anything that has to do with brain entrainment, right, anything that has to do with the manipulation of our subconscious mind, right, is, you know, you get a better understanding. And once they know that you understand that you recognize these things, and they can no longer manipulate you, right? See, one of the things that they try to do to cover their shit up is the fact that when you start to study what it is that they do, and you learn about it, they're gonna say, okay, well, you're guilty because you recognize it. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't recognize psychological manipulation, if you don't recognize cognitive warfare, you're going to fall victim of it. And most of us have fallen victim to these sort of programs, right? And now let's talk about the technology developed, the microchipping. See, this is what I love about Orphan Black, is that it takes things that we STI talk about and put it in a form in a visual form, an audio form that you can see. And don't think of it as just being entertainment. Okay? Do not think about it as just being entertainment. Right? We all saw the movie The Terminator and how Skynet came to be. And look at what you see now with AI. AI is in charge of making decisions in terms of who receive medical care, who receive insurance, and who don't. They're leaving it up to artificial intelligence. So guess what? You can't blame them. You're going to say, well, okay, I blame the AI. What they've done is take out the human element so that they are not responsible. They're not held responsible. So that you wouldn't attack them. Right? So they can say, well, we leave it up to AI because AI is capable of making these decisions just like human, or even more so capable when it comes to generative AI, or what is called super intelligent AI. You need to understand these things. It is to always put the blame on something else, except for those at the top who are doing this. Right? It's like, when I talk about my people being, as Marcus Garvey said, we are people of a dead mind. Meaning that we have no consciousness, none whatsoever. Right? That we have allowed ourselves and our future generations to continue to be hoodwinked, manipulated, and abused by those who use technology, who have money, influence, power to manipulate us. It is very interesting. Yeah, I know you owe. And she said out loud, oh. Yeah, that's why when I say the word, oh, okay, they use the sirens. Yeah, oh, right? Yeah, I know you owe. Right? No fear here, no fear. None whatsoever. Like I said, if they assassinate me, they get assassinated. I understand that. When they decide to sabotage my life, their lives are being sabotaged. Look, KLL 399A. See what I talk about? What I talk about? Look how it's parked. Look, she turned around and looked at the license plate, sticking her tongue out. Right? See, they don't get it, do they? Karma's going to be a bitch for them. It really is. They think because they operate in the psychological realm that they're going to get away with what it is that they do. No, I keep telling you, they believe in karma, so karma's coming back to them. Either way. Right? So, yeah, as I was saying, we got to stop being hoodwinked by these people. And we got to pay attention because they understand which leaders are leaders, I shouldn't say not leader, but which leaders in our community, and they will destroy those leaders. And I keep saying, black people look at the churches for leaders, white people don't look at no church for leaders. Right? Hispanics don't look at the church for leaders. All right? Unless you are from a religious country, then you look at, even then, you look at those so-called leaders, religious leaders in nations that are ruled by religious doctrine. Do they practice what they preach? And the answer is always going to be no. It is always going to be no. So you need to understand that. But anyway, what I'm showing is that how an entire community, people, including family members, can be manipulated, can be indoctrinated, can be used against each other to divide, separate, to conquer, and to destroy leaders within the black community. Right? Leaders who are not a threat to black people but want to liberate black people, but who are a threat to white people or other groups of people because they don't want black people to be liberated, particularly to have a free mind. You need to understand that. So while they engage in a threat of assassinating me, right, understand is that they will also be assassinated. When the church conspire to commit evil, those within the churches who have conspired to commit evil, great evil will be done to them also. Right? They're not infallible. Right? They're not unaccountable. Right? I keep saying, ain't no fear here. The one thing they don't like is a black man who's not afraid of who they are I'm definitely not afraid of my brothers and sisters. We're the same complexion. Ain't nothing you can do to me to get me to be afraid of my brothers and sisters. You might be able to use them against me, but I understand the difference between black people and Negropean people. Negropeans look like you and I, but everything that they do is for the benefit of other groups of people. Black people understand their power comes from knowing who they are and uniting together and having certain things to elevate our people so that we all can succeed. Negropeans only want themselves to succeed because they want to feel special. They want to feel chosen. This is why, you know, the so-called Jews will always talk about, when you see them do commercials, particularly on YouTube, you know, I got a special message for black people, right, who are chosen because, you know, they are in the realm of superstition or supernatural. You know, white people will say, well, you know, particularly white, a financial system will say, you know, black woman's magic, black girl magic, not even black woman, black girl magic, our finance, right? You understand? That is an actual heading that they use. How come they don't say white girl magic, our finance, but they say black girl magic, our finance? They don't even see you as women. They see you as girls, and you're proud to say it too. You're proud. Black women, not black women, Negropean women are proud to say black girl magic. No, let your teenage daughter say it. Let your adolescent daughter say that. Right? If you are a woman, you're not supposed to have black girl magic. You're supposed to have black woman magic. And black woman magic isn't some supernatural shit, manifestation shit. Right? It is about the black woman who paved the way in science, medicine, psychology, engineering. That's black woman magic. Shaking your ass in YouTube talking about you're free and that's black woman magic. That's not black woman magic. That is stupidity, and what they have done is made you the Jezebel of the Bible that they talk about. They have made you the Jezebel in the Bible, what they talk about. But you fail to understand their mindset. What did Jesus say? That he will put Jezebel on the bed and all the men will sleep with her and he will destroy her sons. He will destroy her nation. But you see how they use biblical reference to destroy you, black women. I mean, Negropean women. Because you fail to understand that they have engaged in cognitive warfare and psychological warfare, covert warfare against your community, against you, against your children, against your men. Because they've taken away consciousness from your mind. All right? How you destroy the nation of people is by destroying their women. Right? So you need to understand that. Wake up, wise up. Talk to you guys in the next video.